Hi, I'm Amy Karanik, a Sculpey brand ambassador. I'm in the Sculpey studio today to show you the Embossed Teardrop Cutter. This is the Sculpey Embossed Teardrop Cutter. It's a trendy shape for jewelry making and a great tool to use for perfect shapes every time. It's got two cutting areas, one on the outside, the complete outside rim, and then this little cutter area in the very center to cut out that tiny teardrop. Between those is this recessed embossed area, which gives you these cool embossed marks every time you use it. Now I've got some clay here already sheeted on the number 2 setting on my pasta machine. I find this is a really good thickness for both cutting and embossing. So let me show you how to use it. First, I'm going to use the cutter alone. I have my clay really rolled down to the mat. I like my clay to stick in place to my work surface when I'm using any kind of texture or cutter like this one. Just position the cutter where you'd like it. You can even see through it if you're using a marbled pattern to see that you're lined up properly. And then using hand pressure, you want to just give a little wiggle. Now you can see how flat this side is for your hand, so you don't have any of those sharp edges when it comes in contact with your fingertips or your hand. Give it a slight wiggle and then release. You get perfect shapes every time. Now if you want to, you can use a little tool to remove that little teardrop from the middle. Just set that aside. Now I'm going to pull up that cut piece because I want to show you how I like to finish the edges. Sometimes if I pick up a single piece like this, I just want to remanipulate it with my fingertips. But what I like to do, and I do this with all cutters, whether it be an embossed cutter or just a regular metal or cookie cutter, I always go around the edge with my fingertips just to give it a very smooth and polished look. If you have anything going on in the center where you remove that teardrop, you can go back in with a skinny tool and just really smooth the edges there. Alright, that one's ready to go in the oven to be baked. Let me show you some more tips for using this cool cutter. I've got a piece of kitchen wrap, and I'm just going to put this on the very corner. We're just going to do one more. When you use kitchen wrap, it has the effect of giving you these rounded edges with any kind of cutter. It doesn't have to be an embossed cutter. Any cutter works with this kitchen wrap technique. You can see I've got it really smoothed down, no wrinkles, no air, no bubbles. And I just position my cutter again right here, wherever I want it, and then give it some fingertip pressure. The way I'm doing this is I'm letting the cutter bite, and then I go back in with a lot of even hand pressure. And even hand pressure is super important for any kind of cutting. I give it that little signature wiggle and then release. Now you can see that you get this really cool rounded edge on the outside, and it also gives you a rounded embossing in the middle. That looks so cool. Alright, let's talk about a couple more tips for using the tool. What I have here is a cornstarch pounce. Now cornstarch pounces work well with plastic cutters, and you can either pounce your clay or you can pounce the cutter, or both. And cornstarch is a great release for lots and lots of techniques with polymer clay. Position the cutter again and push. I find this technique works well with your favorite cutters that you've used time and time again to just give it a little cornstarch. Even hand pressure again and then release. Now the excess cornstarch can be brushed away with a paintbrush, fingertips. Probably fleck it away with a paintbrush would be the best idea. One more tip for use and then we'll move on. This is a wet sponge. It's barely wet and it has just the tiniest bit of dish soap in it as well. So I'm just going to pounce my cutter into it. I'm pouncing it kind of hard so that I can make sure it's getting a little dampness, and then cut one more time. The water and dish soap makes a great step and repeat if you're doing several at a time, to just press into the sponge and then go between each cut. Same technique, press, wiggle, and remove. When you're all done, you can clean your cutter with a baby wipe or just lukewarm water, and always let it dry completely before using it again. Let's take a look at some finished samples using the Embossed Teardrop Cutter. Just showing you different colors and the way the embossing shows up with different colors and different brands. This is a real cool pendant made with a charm and a long chain, just in one color. Then we've got some terrazzo earrings, even incorporating silver leaf over the top, and the cut and the embossed areas show up just great.